So I think you're going to absolutely love this game because not only does it feature a brilliant combination to finish the game, but there are 5 key learning points that I've picked out along the way that we can all take into our own games. So this is Bobby Fischer playing with the white pieces, and his opponent with black is Raymond Weinstein. And this was played in the 63-64 chess championship, US chess championship, and there's something very special about this tournament that I'll reveal at the end for anyone that doesn't know it. Now let's look at this game. Bobby kicks off with his favourite pawn to e4. We see e5 on the board, and we quickly get this Spanish game or Roy Lopez. Now the bishop gets kicked. We'll stick with the main line here, not go down the other sidelines. And after knight f6 developing, castles, bishop e7, rook e1, well, it's at this point that black needs to now do something about this pressure on the knight, because the rook's just come and defended this pawn, so there really is a threat now to eliminate the knight, win this one, and this one's defended in return. So b5 breaks the pin. The bishop drops back. We see d6 already played now. By the way, you can start with castles and then hold the idea of doing d5 in one move if you want to play the Marshall Gambit. But here black just goes for d6. Fischer goes c3, castles, and now the reason we don't see an immediate d4 is that bishop g4 can then be annoying. So h3, this is the standard theoretical move. And now there's different ideas for black here. So for example, knight b8 is the Breyer variation, favoured by many world champions. Magnus Carlsen used to play it. I think Karpov loved it. But this Chigorin variation is very popular, I think the most popular move. And the idea is that you hit the bishop, it drops back, and you then clear the way for this c pawn to advance. So you get some nice space gain in the centre. Now white for their part most commonly goes d4, and this is the number one moment to note for your own games. Black goes wrong here, and it's a mistake that I've made myself actually only last year as I've started to play knight c6 on move 2. I used to play the Petrov. Now what does black do? Well, they take here and then the pawn recaptures. The problem with this is it now allows the knight to come to c3. And why is that significant? Well, if we just briefly rewind, the main move is queen c7. So you support this centre from a double capture, but now because white has to find a move and the c3 square isn't available, the main idea is to develop the knight here, and you often see this remanoeuvring stuff, but the knight's not quite as active there. It has to spend some time. You know, it can't come to c3. So that's why taking is not as precise. You don't often see this. And now a second positional mistake from black, because they put this bishop on b7. Now there's a tactical idea around it. They're saying, okay, if you capture here, pawn recaptures, try and win it, well, I'm going to have tons of pressure against your pawn. We won't start going down that whole line. But Fischer very correctly goes d5, now closes the centre, and although he's given up the c5 square, the reason this is so correct is because look how dead this knight is, plus in combination with the bishop. I mean, the knight now has no jumps, and if it comes here, well, it could even be getting trapped with b3, etc. And that's why the bishop now hops back to c8, really miserable, underdeveloping move, just to give the knight a square to retreat back to. And now Fischer goes knight b to d2. I know I mentioned, of course, that c3 is freed up, and that's the bad thing. But okay, you can do that, you can do this, but that's still why it's imprecise for black to play how they did. And now again, black just really goes wrong. They play pawn to g6. I mean, nothing was actually provoking them to play that move. So why choose this moment to change the pawn structure? Not good. Better was knight b7 immediately, because now Fischer, he goes b4 with tempo, and this was his idea of knight b to d2, that now if the knight hops here, you can capture, the pawn takes back, and actually this is a bad pawn structure for black. That pawn is likely to drop. There's too much pressure that white can put on it with all sorts of moves like this. So coming back here, the knight hops back to b7, and now here's the third positional mistake that we can all learn from. So Fischer, he's about 1.7 advantage here when you run it with the engine, but after this move of a4, that drops by quite a bit. The computer preferred a3. Now, why is this a slightly positional mistake, arguably? Well, because black had this move in response, which wasn't played, and it's pawn to a5. And it's a really logical idea. It's just to liquidate this b pawn here so that you can gain access to the c5 square for your knight, which is absolutely dead, as we can see. But black misses this idea, misses the danger of this stuck piece, plays bishop d7 developing, but after Fischer exchanges, pawn recaptures, rook takes, queen takes, well, now we really see the problem of the black position hitting home. Where is this knight hopping to? It literally has no squares but back to d8, and then even if it got to d8, well, where is it then going from there? I mean, to f7, but then where from there? It's just horrendous, right? And then this bishop is equally very, very stuck, no squares to go to, so black's basically strategically lost already early in the game. But how does Fischer proceed? Well, rook e3, very nice rook lift coming to the a file. The queen sidesteps that one, the rook comes anyway, and now queen c7. Logical idea, preparing to bring the rook to the c file. And now Fischer here, he goes knight to b3, and black doesn't immediately bring the rook. They go knight to h5, presumably with the idea of coming knight f4 as soon as they can, stopping then bishop to d3, or asking white if they want to give up the dark squared bishop, but Fischer anticipates this and already goes bishop to d3, with the idea being that now if the knight hits the square, well, the bishop can drop back to f1 and it's on this desirable diagonal, pressuring that weak pawn and defending the king in some lines, although the black pieces are just so far offside to actually join any meaningful attack. So running back here, the knight didn't hit f4, instead the rook came to c8, but now Fischer goes queen f1, pressuring this b pawn, and there's no way to actually defend it, and so black brings back the knight, with the idea being if you take here, well, then black takes here. And this is the third positional mistake. Have I counted that right? I think we're on 3, because black really is just playing without a plan, right? Responding to Bobby's threats, not making the pieces move together in a coherent manner. And now, here's another key moment. So bishop g5 pins that knight. It can't move or the bishop drops behind. And after rook b8, setting up some ideas of opening a discovery with the rook, well, this is the fourth key positional moment from Fischer. He doesn't capture that pawn. Why? He doesn't want to give his opponent any inkling of an initiative, because after the recapture with the queen, well, then this knight can suddenly get into the game. I mean, say it comes to c5, for example. You've now opened the rook, it's attacking the pawn, and suddenly, possibly, the knight has a future. You could exchange here and things like that. So why let your opponent get his pieces into the game? So instead, Fischer goes rook a7, pressuring along the 7th. Black drops back the queen, and now queen a1, invading, looking to improve that piece. Here Fischer's turning the screw. Queen e8 now played, not entirely sure the purpose of that move. Defending this pawn, yes, but after queen a6, well, the queen hops back to defend the knight, and now this is the fifth key moment, the moment when Fischer crashes through. Can you find a decisive tactic in this position? And just before I show you that one, a quick shout out to the sponsors of this video, AIMCHESS. If you're looking to improve your chess, it's my #1 favorite site, free to sign up. Check out the next 21 seconds as a quick preview of what you can expect. Is this you toiling away, trying to improve your chess? If so, you need AIMCHESS in your life. They'll take your recent game data from Lichess, chess.com, bring in personalized lessons, and skyrocket your rating. Use the link down below, try it for free, and code EPIC at checkout will get you discount if you do want a premium plan. So this is where Fischer plays the deadly knight sack of knight takes on e5. And the idea is that after the pawn recaptures, he's opened up this 6th rank to pressure on this knight, and this g6 move coming back to haunt the black player. So bishop captures, bishop recaptures, queen takes. But what I really love about this sacrifice is that after queen c3, Fischer's got it all worked out, and there's a sting at the end of the tail, because black is now hitting 2 pieces and it looks like they're coming way back into the game. But Fischer finds knight to c5, knight a5, also a good move. And again, it looks like it shouldn't quite work, because after black captures, pawn recaptures, this is what happened in the game, well then you're just dropping this bishop, aren't you? Well, the problem with this is that this bishop drops, that miserable piece which bounced to b7, c8, d7, then got stuck, couldn't go anywhere. Well, now it comes back to haunt black. And so this is why this line wasn't followed. This would then be a quick win. Rook f8 covers the mate, or mate in 2, and then you can start running these pawns. It's all over. I won't keep going with that line. So the bishop not captured by the queen. Instead, this one drops back, covers the pawn, and now we see bishop f1. Nice and calm from Fischer. Yes, this pawn drops, but white is still a big advantage here. +5 when you run it with the engine, even though the material's level. Why? Well, look how superior these pieces are, and the passed d pawn is superior to this passed b pawn. And rook e7 really starts to hit that home now, because it pressures this one as well as keeping the pressure here. Now we see b4, so black just tries to get that one running down the board. Now, Fischer had a number of good moves here. One was to just take this pawn, say with the queen. You can also run the h-pawn down, which is what I was drawing a moment ago, start trying to attack that king. Or you can do as Fischer did, which is just start pushing this d-pawn. And here black goes immediately wrong. Now, the best move to put up most resistance was queen c6. It stops the bishop coming to c4, which is a big threat, and then it starts to cover this square. Now, actually, you can push d7. This is one of the better moves for white. And even though the queen drops, this is a really nice line, you can take with check, and the best here is to actually recapture that rook. Because if you step up with the king, well, we take here, and then we're queening on the next move. So taking here with the rook best, as mentioned, queen recaptures check, king g7, and then this is a lost endgame. Of course, you're a bishop up for the sake of a pawn. So coming back here, queen c6 best to put up resistance, still lost, but best. But queen b6 played, and it allowed the simple bishop c4. This led to resignation, because the pressure on the f7 pawn is now just overwhelming. Nothing black can do. It's all about to crash through. Now, why was this game special in the context of the tournament? Well, this is what happened in 1963-64. Fischer just swept away the field, won 11 out of 11 games. I think I'm correct in saying that's never been done since. So truly incredible. What a year for Bobby Fischer. What a player. If you enjoyed this one, then check out this video next, which features another stunning game from the same tournament. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.